The Vorthok Empire stretched across 3 galaxies like a dark plague. For over 5,000 years, they had perfected the art of conquest. Their black warships would appear from quantum-fold space without warning, casting shadows over peaceful worlds. The pattern was always the same: arrive, demonstrate overwhelming force, demand submission, and move on to the next target. Admiral Kethva had overseen 47 planetary conquests in his career. Each one had followed the exact same script. His fur yellow eyes reflected the cold light of distant stars as he stood on the command deck of his flagship, the Void Render Asterisk. The massive dreadnought was a mile long, its obsidian hull studded with weapon ports that could crack a moon in half. Target acquired, Admiral, reported his tactical officer, Grixtel. The insectoid alien's mandibles clicked nervously as he studied the readings. The third planet from the local star, primitive civilization, carbon-based life forms, standard electromagnetic communications, chemical propulsion, nuclear fission, threat level, negligible. Kethra's lips curled in what passed for a smile. Among his species, excellent, another simple harvest for the Empire. He turned to address his bridge crew. This world calls itself Earth. Intelligence reports indicate they have recently achieved spaceflight, but their technology remains laughably primitive. We should be done here within the hour. The 11 other Vorthok battle cruisers maintained perfect formation on the flagship. Each vessel was a testament to the Empire's technological superiority. Quantum shields that could deflect any known weapon, plasma cannons that could melt through planetary crust, and full drives that made them appear anywhere in the galaxy. Within minutes, deploy suppression fields, Kethva ordered, jam their communications and disable their orbital installations, then transmit the standard surrender demand. Invisible energy waves pulsed from the Vorthok fleet, washing over Earth's satellites and space stations. Military communications went dark. The International Space Station went silent. Even civilian internet connections flickered and died as the alien technology overwhelmed Earth's primitive electronics. But deep in the Pacific Ocean, in a heavily shielded underwater command center, Admiral Son Haiwan watched the attack unfold on hardened screens. Earth's leaders had prepared for this moment ever since the first alien probe had been shot down 3 years ago. They had studied the wreckage, reverse-engineered what they could, and built humanity's first real warship. Captain Lee, are you ready? Admiral Son's voice crackled through the quantum-encrypted comm system. 20,000 kilometers above Earth's surface. Captain Lejasu stood on the bridge of the UES Iron Will Asterisk. The ship was small compared to the alien monsters, only 300 meters long, built from salvaged alien materials and human ingenuity. Its hull was scarred from countless test flights, its weapons untested in real combat, but it was humanity's only hope. As ready as we'll ever be, Jesu replied, his voice steady despite the fear gnawing at his stomach round him. His crew of 35 men and women worked at their stations with grim determination. They all knew this was likely a suicide mission. Lieutenant Park Min-ho looked up from his communications console. His face pale, sir. We're receiving the alien transmission. It's being broadcast on all frequencies. The main screen flickered to life, showing Admiral Kethra's imposing figure. His four eyes glowed with ancient arrogance as he spoke in perfect English, his voice carrying the weight of millennia. Inhabitants of the world you call Earth, the alien admiral began, his words echoing across the planet's emergency broadcast networks. I am Admiral Kethra of the Vorthok Empire. Your world now belongs to us. You have witnessed our power. Resistance is futile. You have won out to surrender your governments, your militaries, and your people. Comply, and you will be granted the mercy of slavery. Resist, and you will be granted the mercy of death. The transmission cut to black. leaving humanity to contemplate its fate. In bunkers and shelters around the world, people held their breath. World leaders stared at their screens in helpless rage. The alien fleet hung in space like a sword over Earth's throat. But Captain Jesu felt something different stirring in his chest. Not fear, but anger. Pure, human anger at the arrogance of these invaders who thought they could simply take what wasn't theirs. Minho, open a channel to the alien fleet, he ordered. Sir, are you sure? They might target us immediately. Do it. The lieutenant's fingers danced across his console. A moment later, he nodded. Channel open. Sir, they're listening. Jesu stepped forward, his jaw set with determination, when he spoke. His words carried the defiance of an entire species that had clawed its way from caves to the stars through sheer stubborn will. This is Captain Jesu of the United Earth ship Iron Will *. We received your message, Admiral. Here's our response. He paused, letting the weight of the moment settle. Not today. The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in silence. For the first time in 5,000 years, the Vorthik Empire had heard something they didn't expect. The sound of prey refusing to become victims. The Iron Will erupted from Earth's shadow like a silver bullet, its twin fusion drives painting the void with brilliant blue fire. Captain Jesu gripped his command chair as the acceleration pressed him deep into the cushions round him. His crew worked with deadly focus, their faces lit by the glow of tactical displays showing the massive alien fleet ahead. Distance to target, 50,000 kilometers and closing, reported Navigation Officer Choi Harim, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. Alien vessels are maintaining standard formation on the bridge of the Void Render Tactical. Officer Zulthan studied his screens with growing amusement. The primitive human vessel was racing toward them at maximum acceleration, apparently planning some kind of desperate ramming attack. His 6 arms worked across multiple control surfaces as he prepared to swat the annoying insect. Admiral, shall I destroy it immediately? Zulthan asked, his voice dripping with contempt. One plasma burst should vaporize their entire ship. Admiral Kether leaned back in his command throne, all 4 eyes fixed on the approaching human vessel. In 5,000 years of conquest, he had never seen such foolishness. No, he said slowly, savoring the moment. Disable it. Leave the crew alive. I want their leaders to watch as we parade their heroes in chains, as you command, Admiral. Zulthan's mandibles clicked with pleasure as he targeted the human ship's engines, charging plasma cannons to minimum power. This should be amusing, but Captain Jesu had no intention of making this easy for them for 3 years. Ever since the first alien scout had crashed in the Siberian wilderness, Earth's best minds had studied Vorthik technology. They had learned disturbing truths about their enemies. The aliens were technologically superior, but they had grown lazy from millennia of easy victories. Weapon status, Jesu called out. Railguns loaded with tungsten penetrators, replied. Weapons Officer Han Solban. Gravitic mines are armed and ready. Point defense systems online. Good. Remember, we only get 1 shot at this. They think we're primitive savages charging to our deaths. Let's show them how wrong they are. The Vorthik plasma cannons unleashed torrents of superheated energy, each bolt carrying enough power to level a city block. But something impossible happened. The human ship simply wasn't there when the bolts arrived. The Iron Will twisted through space in a series of sharp, unpredictable turns that defied conventional physics. What is this? Kether snarled, his composure cracking for the first time in centuries. How are they moving like that? Sir, they appear to be using microgravity wells to alter their trajectory, Zulthan reported, his voice tight with confusion. But that's impossible. They don't have the technology for gravitational manipulation. They did now. Hidden in the asterisk iron wheels asterisk hull were dozens of gravity generators reverse-engineered from the crashed scout ship. Each one was barely the size of a briefcase, but together they could bend space-time just enough to throw off enemy targeting systems. Distance, 20,000 kilometers, Harry announced. Entering optimal firing range, Jesu watched the alien formation on his tactical display. The Vorthok ships maintained perfect spacing, their commanders confident in their shields and superior firepower. They had no idea what was coming. Yong, are you ready? Jesu asked. Lieutenant Kim Yong's hands hovered over weapon controls. The young officer had spent months studying the alien technology, learning to think like their enemies, gravitic mines deployed in stealth mode. They won't see them coming until it's too late. The invisible weapons drifted through space like deadly ghosts, their artificial gravity fields masked by the background radiation of the solar system. Each mine contained enough compressed gravitational force to create a microscopic black hole for exactly 1 millisecond. Now, Jesu shouted. Yong's fingers stabbed down on the firing controls. 20 gravitic mines activated simultaneously round 3 Vorthok cruisers. Space itself twisted and compressed as artificial gravity wells collapsed inward with the force of collapsing stars. The alien ships had no time to react. Their quantum shields, designed to deflect energy weapons and physical projectiles, were useless against an attack that warped the very fabric of reality. Hull plating crumpled like paper. Internal structures collapsed as gravity fluctuations tore through the vessels. Atmosphere vented into space as the mighty warships died in seconds. Impossible. Kethva roared, his four eyes blazing with rage and disbelief. They're using our own technology against us. The perfect Vorthok formation scattered in panic his commanders who had never known defeat suddenly faced annihilation, but the asterisk iron Will asterisk was far from finished. As the alien ships broke formation, Jesu saw his opportunity. All weapons, open fire. He commanded. The human ship's railguns thundered, launching tungsten penetrators at significant fractions of light speed. The primitive weapon should have been useless against Vorthok shields. But Jesu had studied the enemy's weaknesses. The alien barriers were designed to stop energy weapons and large projectiles, not tiny needles moving at relativistic speeds. Railgun rounds punched through quantum shields like they didn't exist, tearing into alien hulls and finding weak points the Vorthok didn't even know they had. Engine compartments exploded in brilliant fireballs. Weapon systems went dark as control circuits overloaded. Sir, they're targeting our sensor rays with some kind of laser system. Zulvan reported, his voice cracking with panic. I'm losing tactical data. The asterisk iron will asterisk danced between plasma bolts like a fighter pilot dodging flak, its human crew pushing their ship beyond its design limits. Chief Engineer Kang Doan had overridden every safety protocol, feeding raw power to the engines and weapon systems, whole temperature approaching critical limits. He reported over the comm, "We can't keep this up much longer." But they didn't need to keep it up much longer. 3 Vorthok ships were already dead, their hulks tumbling through space. 4 more were badly damaged, their formations broken, their crews demoralized by the impossible sight of their invincible fleet being torn apart by a single primitive vessel. For the first time in 5,000 years, the Vorthok Empire was learning what it felt like to be preyed on. The asterisk iron will asterisk twisted through a nightmare of burning metal and venting atmosphere, dodging chunks of destroyed Vorthok cruisers that tumbled through space like deadly confetti. Captain Lee Jesu's knuckles were white as he gripped his command chair, watching his tactical display update with impossible speed. 3 enemy ships dead, from all crippled. But 5 massive warships still hunted his tiny vessel through the debris field. Hull stress at 90%. Chief Engineer Kang Doing's voice crackled through the comm from the engine room. Sweat beaded on his forehead as he manually overrode another safety system. "Captain, these engines weren't built for this kind of punishment. We're one overload away from becoming space dust. Keep her together." "Chief," Jesu replied, his eyes never leaving the tactical screen. "We're not done yet." Weapons Officer Han Sobin cursed under her breath as her latest railgun volley sparked harmlessly off of Warthog cruisers' shields. The alien barriers shimmered with each impact. "Growing brighter and more solid, sir. Their defensive systems are learning from every attack. The shields are adapting faster than we can punch through them." This was the Warthog's greatest advantage. Technology that evolved in real time. Their quantum shields analyzed incoming weapons and adjusted their frequency patterns to deflect future attacks. It's how they had conquered galaxy after galaxy. No enemy had ever found a way around this adaptive defense. But humans had something the Vorthig didn't expect. Creativity born from centuries of fighting their own species. "Then we stopped playing by their rules," Jesu said, his tactical mind already 3 moves ahead. "Minho, target their sensor clusters with the point defense lasers. Confuse their targeting systems. Yong, prep the nuclear mines. But don't deploy them yet." Lieutenant Park Minho's fingers danced across his controls. "Point defense systems retargeting. This is going to drain our power reserves fast. Do it anyway." Streams of coherent light lanced out from the Iron Will asterisk, not aimed at the heavily shielded Vorthig hulls, but at the delicate sensor rays that sprouted from their ships like electronic mushrooms. The aliens had never bothered to armor these systems. Why would they? No enemy had ever survived long enough to target them specifically. On the bridge of the Void Render asterisk, Tactical Officer Zulthan watched his displays flicker and die one by one. "Admiral, we're losing sensor coverage across the fleet. The humans are targeting our detection grids." Admiral Kethras' eyes blazed with frustrated rage. This wasn't how battles were supposed to go. The Vorthog way of war was simple. Rive. Demonstrate overwhelming superiority. Accept surrender. They weren't prepared for an enemy that treated warfare like a puzzle to be solved. "Compensate with secondary sensors," he snarled. "All ships, close formation and focus fire. End this embarrassment, but without their primary sensors." The Vorthig ships were flying half-blind through a debris field filled with spinning metal and electromagnetic interference. Their perfect formation began to break down as commanders struggled to maintain position without colliding with their own allies. Lieutenant Kim Yong watched her weapons board light up with new possibilities. "Yes, sir. I've got an idea. What if we don't use the mines as mines? Explain," Jesu ordered, even as he rolled the ship to avoid a plasma bolt that turned a nearby asteroid into glowing slag. "We reprogram them. Instead of creating gravity wells, we use them as kinetic projectiles. Accelerate them with our railguns. Then detonate the gravity generators on impact. The adaptive shields won't know what hit them." It was insane. It was brilliant. It was exactly the kind of unconventional thinking the Vorthog couldn't predict. "Do it," Jesu commanded. The Iron Will asterisk unleashed its modified payload. Nuclear devices accelerated to incredible speeds by magnetic launchers. Their gravity generators set to collapse microseconds after impact. The Vorthig shields tried to adapt, tried to deflect the incoming projectiles. But how do you defend against weapons that change their fundamental nature at the moment of contact? The first mine struck a Vorthig battle cruiser amidships. The ship's shields held against the initial kinetic impact. But then the gravity generator activated. Space twisted around the impact point, creating a localized distortion that the quantum barriers couldn't compensate for. The shield collapsed, leaving the alien hull naked and vulnerable. Now, Jesu shouted. Hansobin didn't hesitate. Railgun rounds followed the mine's path, punching through armor that had never known the touch of enemy fire. The Vorthik ship's reactor containment failed, and the massive vessel disappeared in a brief, brilliant star. Admiral Kether watched another of his mighty ships die, and felt something he hadn't experienced in millennia. Fear. These humans weren't just primitive savages. They were apex predators who had spent their entire evolutionary history learning to kill things bigger and stronger than themselves. All remaining units, converge on the human ship, he commanded, his voice tight with desperation, ramming speed. In this madness, before it spreads, the surviving Vorthik warships abandoned their careful formations and charged directly at the Iron Will Asterisk. Their commanders willing to sacrifice everything to stop this impossible threat. But Jesu had been waiting for exactly this moment. "Chief, I need everything the engines can give me," he called to the engine room. "Captain, if I push any harder, we'll blow the containment field." Kang Doyan warned. "Then we better meet this. Count, all hands, brace for impact." The Iron Will Asterisk accelerated directly toward the Vorthik flagship, its fusion drives burning so bright they painted the surrounding debris field blue-white. To the aliens, it looked like a suicide run, a desperate final gesture from a defeated enemy. They were wrong. At the last possible second, Jesu rolled his ship and fired the maneuvering thrusters. Slipping past the Void Render's plasma cannons and straight toward the flagship's command tower. The Iron Will's reinforced prow, designed for ramming through asteroid fields, struck the alien bridge like an ancient battering ram. Alien metal screamed as it tore. The Vorthik flagship's command section crumpled like foil, its bridge atmosphere venting into space in a glittering cloud of ice crystals. Through the breach, Jesu caught a glimpse of Admiral Kether's eyes, wide with shock and terror. Before emergency bulkhead slammed shut. The Iron Will tumbled away from the collision, her hull cracked but intact. Round them, the remaining Vorthik ships drifted powerless, their command and control systems shattered. Their crews paralyzed by the impossible sight of their admiral's flagship broken by a primitive human vessel. For the first time in 5,000 years, the Vorthik Empire had tasted defeat. The Iron Will spun through the void like a broken toy, her hull punctured by jagged tears that vented precious atmosphere into the darkness. Emergency klaxons wailed through corridors filled with smoke and floating debris. Captain Jesu hauled himself upright against his command chair, wiping blood from a deep gash across his forehead where a piece of shattered console had struck him during the collision. "Sound off, people," he called out, his voice hoarse. From breathing smoke, "Who's still with me?" Round the shattered bridge, his crew struggled to their stations. Lieutenant Park Minho clutched a broken arm against his chest but still worked his communications console with his good hand. Weapons Officer Han Solbin had a burn across her cheek from an exploding power coupling, but her eyes remained focused on her flickering displays. "Navigation systems are completely fried," reported Officer Choi Harim, coughing as acrid smoke filled her lungs. "We're flying blind. Captain, dead stick in space." The main view screen crackled with static, but through the interference, Jesu could see the aftermath of their impossible battle. Chunks of Vorthik warships drifted past their broken vessel like metallic icebergs. The alien hulks glowed with internal fires, their perfect formations reduced to scattered wreckage. "Chief, talk to me," Jesu called into his comm unit. "How bad is it down there?" Chief Engineer Kang Doing's voice came through crackling with static and exhaustion. "Main engines are slag. Captain, the fusion containment field is holding, but barely. We've got hull breaches on decks 3 through 7. Life support is running on backup power, and that won't last more than 6 hours." Through the viewport, something massive drifted into view, The Void-Render Admiral Kethr's flagship, tumbled slowly through space. The mighty Dreadnought's command tower had been completely sheared away by the Iron-Willed Desperate ramming, attack. Debris and frozen atmosphere sparkled round the wand like deadly snow. "My God," whispered Lieutenant Kim Yong, staring at the destruction they had wrought. "We actually did it. We beat them. But victory had come at a terrible price. The Iron-Will was dying round them, her systems failing one by one. Red emergency lighting cast everything in hellish shadows as the crew fought to keep their ship alive long enough for a rescue to arrive. "Sir, I'm picking up movement from the surviving Vorthik ships," Minho reported, his good hand dancing across his controls for vessels, all heavily damaged. They're running. Captain, jumping. To hyperspace, Jesu watched through the static-filled view screen as the remaining alien warships limped away from the battle zone. These were vessels that had conquered star systems, that had never known defeat. Now they fled like wounded animals, their confidence shattered by a single human ship that refused to die quietly. The bridge fell silent except for the hiss of venting atmosphere and the crackle of damaged electronics. They had done the impossible. 12 Vorthik warships had entered Earth's solar system. Only 4 were leaving, and those were barely functional. 8 of the Empire's mightiest vessels lay dead in space. Testament to human stubbornness and ingenuity, Captain, Minho called out, his voice tight with pain but filled with excitement. "I'm getting a transmission from Earth Command. Admiral Song wants a status report." Jesu's hands shook as he reached for the communications controls. Blood from his head wound dripped onto the console, mixing with sparks from damaged circuits. Round him, his crew watched with exhausted but proud faces. They had all expected to die today. The fact that they were still breathing felt like a miracle. Earth Command, "This is Captain Jesu of the UES Iron-Will *", he said, his voice carrying across the void to the blue world below. "Mission status: accomplished. Enemy fleet has been neutralized. Repeat, the alien invasion force has been defeated." The silence that followed seemed to stretch forever. Down on Earth, in bunkers and command centers round the world, military leaders stared at their screens in disbelief. A single human ship had done what entire star empires had failed to accomplish. They had beaten the Vorthik. Finally, Admiral Song Haiwen's voice crackled through the damaged speakers. "Captain Jesu, confirm your last transmission. Are you telling me you defeated 12 Vorthik warships with 1 destroyer?" Jesu looked round at his battered crew. Navigator Harim gave him a thumbs up despite the blood on her uniform. Weapons Officer Sobin managed a tired smile. Even Chief Kang's voice came through the comm with a weary chuckle. "That's correct, Admiral." Jesu replied, "The enemy is retreating. Earth is safe." "But how?" Som's voice carried a mixture of awe and disbelief. "How is such a thing possible?" Jesu thought about the question for a moment. How do you explain the human spirit to someone who's never faced impossible odds? How do you describe the refusal to surrender that had carried humanity from caves to the stars? "Because we're human, Admiral," he said simply. "We don't know when to quit. When the universe says no, we ask why not. When someone tries to take our home, we fight back with everything we have." Through the viewport, he could see the first glints of approaching rescue ships, their engines burning bright as they raced toward the crippled Iron-Will *. Earth's small fleet of patrol craft and cargo haulers had been pressed into emergency service, their crews desperate to reach the heroes who had saved their world. "Rescue ships are on approach," Minho reported. "ETA 20 minutes. Think we can hold together that long, Chief?" Kang's laugh came through the speakers, tired but determined. "For you crazy kids, I'll keep this bucket of bolts running with spit and prayers if I have to. As the rescue vessels drew closer, Jesu allowed himself to lean back in his damaged command chair. The emergency lights continued to bathe the bridge in red. But somehow the color no longer seemed ominous. It looked like the light of a new dawn. The Vorthok Empire had ruled 3 galaxies for 5,000 years. They had crushed civilizations, enslaved entire species, and built their dominion on the belief that superior technology guaranteed victory. Today, they had learned a hard truth that would echo across the cosmos. Humanity would not go quietly into the night. And when pushed to the edge, humans pushed back. 6 months after the Battle of Earth, Captain Lee Jesu stood on the bridge of the USS Indomitable Asterisk, watching the stars through armored viewports that could withstand plasma cannon fire. The massive dreadnought stretched to kilometers from bow to stern, its hull bristling with weapons that combined human ingenuity with captured Vorthok technology. This wasn't the desperate, jury-rigged vessel he'd commanded during humanity's darkest hour. This was a ship built for war. Status report. Jesu called out, his captain's uniform crisp and new, though his eyes still carried the weight of that first impossible battle. 47 human warships in formation, sir, reported his new tactical officer, Lieutenant Commander Park Soo-yeon. The fleet includes 12 dreadnoughts, 28 cruisers, and 7 support vessels. All ships report ready for jump round Earth's solar system. The human fleet represented a miracle of engineering and determination. Each ship had been built in the massive orbital shipyards that now orbited the moon, constructed from blueprints reverse-engineered from Vorthok. But they were more than mere copies. Human engineers had improved on alien designs, adding redundant systems, heavier armor, and weapons that could adapt mid-battle. Sir, incoming priority transmission from the Eltarian Republic, announced Communications Officer Ensign OG-1, her young face serious with responsibility. They're requesting immediate military assistance. The Vorthok garrison on Altair 7 is executing civilian hostages. Jesu's jaw tightened. The Altarians were bird-like humanoids who had lived under Vorthok rule for over 3 centuries. When news of Earth's victory had reached their world, they had risen in rebellion, using improvised weapons against their alien oppressors. The Vorthok response had been brutal. "Tell them help is on the way," Jesu replied, "and patch me through to Admiral Song." The main screen flickered to life, showing Admiral Son Haiwon in her command center deep beneath the Pacific Ocean. The woman who had overseen humanity's desperate gamble now coordinated a growing alliance of liberated worlds. Her hair had gone completely gray in the past 6 months, but her eyes burned with fierce determination. "Captain, we're receiving reports from across the galaxy," she said without preamble. "The Krillian Confederacy has declared independence from the Vorthok Empire. The mining colonies in the Vegas system have seized their orbital platforms. Even the Zephyrian slave worlds are rising up. It was happening faster than anyone had imagined." The news of humanity's impossible victory had spread through the galaxy's underground networks like wildfire. Species that had been crushed under Vorthok rule for millennia suddenly remembered what freedom felt like. The invincible empire was crumbling from within. "What about the Vorthok response?" Jesu asked. "They're pulling back their fleets to core systems," Song replied. "But they're also getting more vicious. Intelligence reports indicate they're preparing to sterilize rebel worlds rather than lose them too." Independence movements. Jesu felt cold anger settle in his stomach. The Vorthok had ruled through fear for so long. They couldn't conceive of any other way to maintain control. If they couldn't have their empire, they would burn it all down. "Sir," Lieutenant Commander Park interrupted, "we're receiving a direct transmission from the Vorthok High Command. They're requesting immediate negotiations." "Put it through," Jesu ordered. The screen shifted to show a Vorthok official Jasoo didn't recognize. This alien was older than Admiral Ketha. His full eyes dim with age and his once proud bearing reduced to desperate pleading. "I am Sector Governor Vex High of the Vorthok High Command." The alien began, his voice carrying formal diplomatic protocols. "The Empire wishes to negotiate a ceasefire with the Human Alliance. We are prepared to offer significant territorial concessions in exchange for an end to hostilities." Jasoo studied the alien's face, reading the fear behind the diplomatic words. 6 months ago, the Vorthok had demanded Earth's unconditional surrender. Now they were begging for mercy. "Governor Vex High," Jasoo replied, his voice carrying the authority of humanity's new military might. "The Human Alliance has one simple demand: complete withdrawal from all occupied worlds and the immediate release of all enslaved populations. Meet these terms, and we'll consider negotiations." The Vorthok official's mandibles clicked in distress. "Captain, you must understand. The Empire has invested millennia in developing these worlds. Surely some compromise can be reached. There is no compromise when it comes to freedom." Jasoo said firmly, "You have 48 hours to begin evacuation procedures. After that, we start liberating worlds by force." The transmission cut to black, leaving the bridge in tense silence. Through the viewport, Jasoo could see the rest of the human fleet, their hulls gleaming in the light of distant stars. Each ship represented thousands of human lives dedicated to a single purpose: ensuring that no species would ever again face the choice between slavery and death. "Captain," came Chief Engineer Kang Doing's voice over the comm, "all ships report ready for jump. Where are we headed?" Jasoo looked at the tactical display showing dozens of Vorthok-occupied systems. Each one contained millions of beings who had never known freedom, who had been born into chains and told they would die in chains. But that was about to change. "Set course for the Altarian system," he ordered. "Maximum speed. It's time to show the galaxy that the age of tyrants is over." The Indomitable's massive engines roared to life, and the human fleet disappeared into hyperspace. Behind them, Earth continued its transformation from a single world into the heart of a galactic alliance. Ahead lay the Vorthok Empire, 5,000 years of conquest and oppression finally facing an enemy they couldn't understand or defeat. The aliens had built their empire on the belief that superior technology guaranteed victory. They had crushed civilizations with overwhelming force, never bothering to understand the hearts and minds of those they conquered. But humanity had learned something different in their bloody history of wars and revolutions: that freedom wasn't something you could take away from people who were willing to die for it. As the human fleet raced through hyperspace toward their next battle, Captain Lee Jasoo allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. The boy who had grown up reading stories of ancient warriors and impossible victories was now living one of those stories. The Vorthok Empire, which had seemed unstoppable just 6 months ago, was discovering that some things in the universe were stronger than fear. The age of easy conquest was over. The age of liberation had begun. ****. The